Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, The Moonlit Grimoire. My name is River, I'm a solitary Wiccan, and this is a channel where you can learn about anything witchcraft. If you read the title of this video, then that's right. Today we're talking about tarot. I apologize for having to hold up my microphone every time I speak. I'm working on getting a new one. This one just doesn't seem to work as well as I'd like. This video is a part 1 of a 3-part series that goes into tarot deck breakdown or explanation of tarot decks in general, what the individual cards mean, and what they are associated with. And later on, I will discuss how to care for your tarot deck and different tarot spreads, and how and when to use them. For this video, I will be talking about a full deck breakdown, then going through the deck and explaining each of the Major Arcana cards. A standard deck has 78 cards, and they're divided into 2 groups. You have 22 Major Arcana cards and 56 Minor Arcana cards. The Major Arcana denote important life events, like lessons or milestones, while the Minor Arcana reflect day-to-day events. The Minor Arcana are arranged into 4 suits. These are typically wands, pentacles, swords, and cups, and each suit has a ruling element and corresponds to a specific area in life. Swords reflect air and have to do with intellect and decisions. Pentacles represent earth and relate to money and achievement. Wands represent fire and action, and cups represent water and emotion. There are decks that have their own suits as well, but usually it's just a different name and symbol for the standard suits. So they will have the same meaning, or maybe it'll just be tweaked slightly. It's always important to read through the booklet that comes with the tarot deck. And in doing that, you create a bond with the deck that you can strengthen by working with it. The court cards, which are the cards with the faces, which are the cards with pictures of kings, queens, knights, and pages on them, represent a person, either yourself or someone else. They reflect personality traits and characteristics of the influential people in your life, or someone else's life, especially if you're reading for someone else. Now let's get on to the physical deck. I will show each card individually and explain each of their meanings. So this is the Ethereal Visions Illuminated Tarot deck by Matt Hughes. It was really sweet because he dedicated this deck to his wife. This is my favorite tarot deck because it's got all of the Major and Minor Arcana as the traditional build, but it also has a couple extra tweaks to it, and I will show those as I go through it. So for this video, I'm only doing the Major Arcana. This was the booklet that came with it. I already put the cards in order based on what I'm going through. I'm not doing the Minor Arcana. I'm just doing the major ones. So the introduction that came with this deck explains that the allure of tarot has changed over the years. The deck started in the 15th century as a simple card game of 4 suits, morphed over the years into a tool for meditation, inner reflection, and divination. The Ethereal Visions tarot deck, that's this one's my favorite, consists of 80 cards that are broken into 2 sections, the 24 Arcana instead of 22, and 56 Minor Arcana. This deck is based on the artist's own journey of inner reflection and meditation, but I find that it's very universal and can work well with anyone. So first up, the Major Arcana are the foundation of the deck and tell the story of the Fool's journey. And that's the same with any tarot deck. The Fool is the one on the journey. It reflects the story of spiritual awareness told through imagery. So first up, we have our Fool. So each card, this one doesn't have a number on it, but each card typically has a number on it. And when I say each card, I'm referring to just the Major Arcana. The Minor might as well in some decks, but not typically in the traditional build. This one has Fool listed as card 0, so there won't be a number on it. Sometimes you'll see the number up at the top, sometimes it'll be down at the bottom or above the words. This deck traditionally will do down at the bottom, sometimes at the top, depending on how big the picture is. And I love the art in this deck because it's got this shiny little gold etching, and the colors are vibrant enough to where it helps with the imagery without it being overflowing with color. So for the Fool card, the astrological correspondence is Uranus. The Fool is the spirit of innocence in all of us as we begin our journey. This card may be given to us to refer to the beginning of our path, representing birth, or at the end of our path, representing transformation. So it could be known as the beginning card, or is it transforming our path? Each position marks the start of new beginnings where we are free to be creative, have boundless faith, and freely embrace opportunities. So the Fool is your stepping stone. It's where you start, or it'll mark where change is happening. I'm going to go through the upright positions for the cards as well as the reverse side as well. Not many people do use the reverses, but I'm going to go ahead and explain both in case you are interested in both. So let's start with the upright position for the Fool. This represents potential, new beginnings, like I said, the start of your path, as well as new opportunities and adventure. If you get the reverse of this card, it represents carelessness, negligence, or uncertainty. It's basically saying that you've kind of hit a rock and you're not sure where your path is going to go, or you're unsure whether or not you should take that step. So that was the Fool. So next up we have the Magician card. This is card 1 in the deck. So Fool was 0, this is 1. And most of the time you'll see the numbers represented using Roman numerals. So for the Magician, the astrological correspondence for this card is Mercury. The Magician connects the spirit to the physical. He represents as above, so below. He is the master of all 4 elements, earth, air, fire, and water. He's telling you that he holds all the tools to manifest your desires into reality. Creativity, skill, focus, and desire are the forces he reveals to you in order to accomplish any goal. When he's in the upright position, he represents skill, confidence, action, concentration, and accomplishment. In the reversed position, he represents unease, lack of planning, powerlessness, procrastination, and arrogance. It's not necessarily a bad thing when you come across a reversed card. It just basically tells you that there's something else you should focus on, or maybe turn your attention away. I notice how the sun is coming in through the window. I am filming in the morning, so we might have that sun kind of work its way upwards. So I'm going to go ahead and close the blinds, and hopefully it doesn't get... Actually, I'm going to open the blinds all the way. Maybe it'll illuminate the table a bit more. So I opened the blinds all the way, and it actually kind of put a shadow on the table, so it's a little easier to see. Next up, we have one of my favorite arts, which is actually the same one that's on the box. That's the High Priestess. It's the second face card. So the High Priestess's astrological correspondence is the moon. As you can see, there's a little moon here. And you can even look at this big gold circle behind her as being a full moon if you wanted to. I'm going to go ahead and speak more on the art of the cards because I realized I wasn't really talking about how that ties into its correspondence. Whenever you get a tarot deck, you will get an artist's own rendition of the meanings behind that card. They will depict it in the art or the image that they portray. So it is very relevant that the art works well with you. And that's why I resonate with this deck so well, is I love the art and it really helps me understand the meanings behind the cards. So for High Priestess, the High Priestess represents wisdom and enlightenment. She is in between 2 worlds. And I guess that's one way of looking at this picture. You could see it as being like a portal or a mirror. She's like standing on the outside. Perhaps maybe if she turns around and looks into the mirror, then she's looking into the other world. She embodies the eternal feminine spirit. She's the guardian of the unconscious who guides us to look inward and listen to our own feelings and intuition. And because she has the phases of the moon up here, as well as a book in her hands. I like to think of it as the Book of Shadows, and she's the high priestess of her coven. So when the high priestess is in the upright position, she represents the subconscious, wisdom, serenity, and mystery. When she's in the reversed position, she represents repression, mistrust, secrets, and loss. My candle blew out. I guess it just kind of drowned in all the wax. I've never lit this candle. This was a brand new candle, but I'll just go ahead and leave it for now. It smells really good. It's a blue hydrangea. So next up we have the Empress card. The astrological correspondence for the Empress is Venus, as you can see by her beauty and femininity. The Empress is the manifestation of creation. She's the mother. She invites you to reconnect with the natural world. As you can see, all the flowers and the flora going on around her. That's the natural world connection. She's even got flowers on her headdress. So she invites you to reconnect with the natural world and nourish what you have created. And I feel like this art does a really good job expressing that. As you can see right here, she's got the feminine symbol because she is the mother. She is the representation of femininity, that inner feminine spirit. When she's in the upright position, she represents creation, abundance, luxury, nature, and pleasure. When she's in the reversed position, she represents neglect, indecisiveness, disconnection, and resistance. So you're not getting that connection that you need to that inner feminine, or perhaps to that nature connection, or maybe creativity is not flowing and you're not connecting the way you should. So you're given this reversed card when you're doing a reading. Next we have the Emperor. This is number 4. And the astrological correspondence is with Aries. I feel like that makes a lot of sense because they capture strength really well in this picture. And as you can see, there's the ram. My birth sign is Aries, and I connect with that ram very well. You can see there's silhouettes of a side ram, and then there's the frontal view. The way he's looking up has a really big correspondence with what this card symbolizes. He's the masculine energy. He is the father. He is able to calm chaos and offer authoritarian guidance. He exudes the traits of leader, protection, and provider, but he can be ruthless and disagreed with. I feel like this art expresses that very well. He's looking upward. He's saying, I have a decision and I will not change it. I will stand my ground. He's very masculine, and yet what he's holding kind of draws further to the meaning. In the upright position, it represents power, structure, patriarchal energy, domination, and success. And I feel like that's portrayed very well with this art. In the reversed position, he represents rigidity, powerlessness, avoidance, and chaos. Don't think of chaos as being a bad thing. It just means without order. A lot of people tend to think chaos is negative or very bad, so if they get this card in reverse, they think something terrible is going to happen or is so completely out of their control, they fear it. It just means that there's no order going on right now, or it's hard to put things in an order to make it more easier to grasp or understand. Oh, and about the Emperor card, with that chaos, that's where you feel that powerlessness because there's no order. Next up, we have the Hierophant. This one may be called something else in certain decks. I know if you have a Golden Dawn traditional deck, it will not be called the Hierophant. It may be called something else like the Judge or Justice or something. But here, the Hierophant represents Taurus. That's its astrological correspondence. The Hierophant is the physical embodiment of intuition. He interprets secret knowledge to share within a formal, rigid system. When seeking knowledge, he will guide you to discovery through established educational structures and traditions. So in the upright position, this card represents tradition, guidance, spirituality, orthodoxy, and institution. I feel like the way that he's positioning his hand and the way he's holding his little staff here, it's definitely showing that guidance, that spirituality. Maybe he's more traditional in his practice. And he's card 5, by the way. The number's right here. If you come across his reverse meaning, it represents hypocrisy, rebellion, corruption, and disobedience. Don't necessarily look at this as being such a negative meaning. Just see it as a meaning that's going to need some change or going to need some additional work to bring about that upright position meaning. Now we have card 6, that's the Lovers. This card represents Gemini, and I see that as being two people. And when I think Gemini, I don't think twins. I think more of like a yin and yang, opposites, but they're always together. So we have the divine masculine and the divine feminine always together. The Lovers represents the union of duality. They signify a force that binds two entities together to create wholeness, whether it is a relationship, an event, a personal decision, or ideas. The Lover asks you to have open communication with yourself and examine your motives and values when contemplating which part to take. In the upright position, it symbolizes unification, choices, harmony in relationships. In the reverse position, it resembles separation, imbalance, conflict, and disconnection. So basically, the opposite of the Lovers. Our 7th card is the Chariot. The Chariot's astrological sign is Cancer. The Chariot represents willpower, determination, and self-assurance in any challenge. The Charioteer reminds us to be steadfast and exude self-control in situations that arise in order to ensure victory over any obstacle. In the upright position, the Chariot represents conquest, control, victory, and motivation. In the reverse position, it represents aggression, self-doubt, defeat, and loss of control. Our 8th card is Strength. Strength corresponds to Leo, explains the lion. The Strength card reminds us that the true power comes from within. Through patience, gentleness, and compassion, one can overcome obstacles without resorting to physical aggression. The woman and the lion signify that we need to tame the beast within ourselves and find balance. In the upright position, this card represents inner calm, courage, control, and patience. In the reversed position, this card represents struggle, anger, rage, and pride. So you're losing that calmness, you're losing that courage that you had, and it's being replaced with pridefulness, rage, anger, struggle, the inability to keep that calm or keep that control, or you're losing your patience. The Hermit, I love this art. It's just so beautiful and so serene. So the Hermit is associated with Virgo. The Hermit advises you that now is a time for reflection. You must look inward for truth and wisdom, for you have all the knowledge you need inside. Be calm and reflective. Do not let the outside world distract you from the messages you hold within. I like to see him as a big guiding figure to help with that reflection. When you come across this card, it's him saying, okay, let's do this together. At least that's how I like to look at it. In the upright position, it's associated with introspection, enlightenment, solitude, and reflection. When you get a reversed Hermit, it's associated with isolation, foolishness, withdrawal, and depression. You need to reflect, but perhaps there's something stopping you. Maybe you have other cards to help you with that, with understanding how to reflect or understanding how to reach that enlightenment or that introspection that you're trying to achieve. Rarely does this card work well on its own. If you're focusing on that reflection or that inwardness that you want to understand or change or alter in a way, perhaps you want to work on this card separately and you do a single card pull or you dedicate an altar around it. And that same goes for every card in the deck. If you ever want to work on one specific thing, focus on that one card, or perhaps a 3-card pull, or have this card be a focus in whatever spread you're doing, this card or other cards. Card number 10 brings us to my favorite tarot card. That's the Wheel of Fortune. I have a huge connection with this card because my main matron is Goddess Fortuna, the goddess that turns the wheel of fortune, the wheel of fate. The astrological correspondence for this card is Jupiter. The Wheel of Fortune shows that opportunity is abundant. Abundant is a key word when working with this card. All things have a cycle, both good and bad. One makes you appreciate the other, and each can offer new opportunities to the situation faced. In the upright position, it represents luck, change, karma, and destiny. When the Wheel of Fortune is reversed, it represents misfortune, chaos, that just means lack of order, or it's out of your hands, bad luck, and resistance. The Justice card, this is our 11th card, and it corresponds with Libra. As you can see, there's the scales right there. Justice reveals that an outcome will be determined from the decisions you have made. It is a reminder that the future actions can be changed by the lessons you learn in the present. It is an indicator that a decision needs to be made. In the upright position, it represents truth, fairness, equality, and balance. In the reversed position, it represents dispute, dishonesty, lack of accountability, and corruption. So for any cards, if I don't point out any specific things in the pictures, like the owl or this little statue she has going on here, you can always do your research to understand why the artist depicted those. And commonly, you'll see those same designs on other tarot decks as well. It's not like the artist chose an owl for justice because of their own personal meaning behind this card or their own personal interpretation. It could be that the owl is associated with justice because of this reasoning. I don't know it specifically, but I can tell you what, it's not random or it's not on accident. This is an interesting card. This card 12 is the Hanged Man. And this is the upright position for the Hanged Man. He is supposed to be reversed because he's hanging by his ankle or by his foot. I like how he's the one pulling the string in this art. He is holding himself upside down, and that is very relevant to the card's meaning. The astrological correspondence is Neptune, and the Hanged Man is an indication that it is time to end old ways and release restrictions that are holding you back in life. That's why he's holding onto the string. He is holding himself back. It is time for inaction and reflection in order for new opportunities to manifest. You must be willing to sacrifice something to gain something new. So perhaps he does want to just let go of that string and let himself fall. Perhaps a little bit of sacrifice, maybe a bump on the head, might be something to wake him up. This card in the upright position represents sacrifice, release, new perspective, and surrender. Surrender to the idea that you're the one holding yourself back. In the reverse position, this is reversed, this card represents indecision, delusion, delay, and missed opportunity. Perhaps you're too scared to let go of that rope because you don't want to fall. Sorry, my phone went off. It was just a text message giving me an update on where my next Goddess Provisions box is. And we will be getting that shortly. So if you get this card in the reverse position, it's basically saying that you're holding yourself back and something is delaying you from overcoming that. Or perhaps you need to look more into that indecisiveness or that delusion that you have around the thing that's holding you back. Now we have our 13th card, that's Death. The astrological correspondence is Scorpio. Death is the harbinger of transformation. He is a reminder that you must shed what is old and familiar to become something new. You must break old habits and release that which is hindering you to make room for something greater. In the upright position, he represents change, endings, beginnings, and transformation. As you can see here, there's a woman with her face in her hands, representing some struggle. Because letting go and transforming into something new, or letting go of those familiar bad habits, takes work. You don't overcome something in a night. But letting go of what is hindering you will definitely bring about a positive transformation. Temperance is the 14th card in the deck. Its astrological correspondence is with Sagittarius. Temperance appears when there is a need for balance of opposing areas in your life. You're being asked to be patient and re-examine priorities in your life that are in disharmony. Temperance assists us by pointing us to life's meaning and purpose. When temperance is in the upright position, it symbolizes balance, harmony, purpose, and moderation. The fact that it uses water here to kind of show like the flow of things, to show us balance, to show us that harmony, it's a very symmetrical card. She may have one cup going up and one going down like it's pouring, but it's pouring right back into the other cup, and that's to show the balance. When temperance is in the reverse direction, it's showing competition, frustration, excess, and imbalance. Perhaps there's an excess of something which leads to that imbalance. When you look at the water flowing upward and coming back down and pouring into the cup when it's in a reverse position, you know that something's not right here. That's not how that should work. Something's not balanced. The 15th card is the Devil card. This is not necessarily associated with the Christian devil, unless you want to look at it as the man-made object to fear. I myself am a Wiccan, and I don't believe in any kind of devil. But what I do believe in is that we scare ourselves with our own fears and insecurities. So this card very much has a lot of meaning to it. The astrological correspondence is with Saturn, and the devil shows you that the problems that constrain you are an illusion. The binding is of your own. It is time to ask yourself, what is it that holds you back? And are you truly helpless to change the situation? That's what the card represents. When in the upright position, it's associated with addiction, obsession, control, and materialism. If you're getting this card, then perhaps there's something you obsess over and you need to get over. Perhaps it's a fear that's holding you back. When this card is in the reversed order, it represents detachment, freedom, awareness, and vulnerability. When you get this card and you're feeling that vulnerability, then perhaps it's showing you that you yourself are causing an illusion that's preventing you from becoming strong and courageous. Perhaps that vulnerability that you're feeling is something you put on yourself, your own self-pressures, your own demons, your own devil. The Tower. The Tower is the 16th card. The astrological correspondence is with Mars, and the Tower shows up when you are living in an illusion. You must remove the mask and expose the truth of the situation in order to change it. Change is difficult. You will be shaken. The familiar will be broken down and removed from your comfort zone. The Tower reminds you to let go and let the ego fall away. When the Tower is in the upright position, it represents upheaval, change, awakening, and shock. Sometimes it's more drastic than others, sometimes it's more subtle. When this card is in the reversed order, it represents denial, avoidance, fear, and reluctance. You can tell that this man is definitely afraid. Look at him. He fell from such a high tower. However, if you're a type of person who has been at the top for so long, falling to the bottom is definitely going to feel like a huge change. And that's what this card is meant to signify, is how big of a change you go through. It's not necessarily one that you'll feel drastically. Like I said, it could be more subtle, but it's definitely a change that's very relevant and significant, at least in this point in your life when you get this card, especially if you're getting this card often. The Star. This one's cute. The Star is the 17th card, and its astrological correspondence is with Aquarius. As you can see, all the water coming off the land. The Star is the light you seek when you enter a new phase of life. She reminds you that you are connected to the universe and all the wisdom you seek is available. The Star shows you that now is the time to embrace new ideas and growth. You can see it radiating over the sky, over the land. It's all coming from one focal point, from one star. This card represents renewal, hope, serenity, and clarity. I feel like that's portrayed very well, especially when you think of it as she's sitting on the land. She's not necessarily the size of a normal person. You could see it that way, but I see it as she's a much, much bigger figure. She's showing the wisdom of the land. She's showing the hope, the serenity, the water with the clarity. She's got her foot dipped in because she's not afraid. When this card is in the reversed order, it signifies confusion, despair, test of faith, and negativity. She's got her foot dipped into the water, but as you can see, it kind of looks like the water's running toward her, like something's not right. Almost like she's not the one dipping her foot in, but the water is crawling to her. At least that's how I see it. Instead of the star shining its light, perhaps it's pulling. Maybe it's trying to show that confusion, that test of faith. This is the moon. I love how blue this card is. The moon is the 18th face, and its astrological correspondence is with Pisces. The moon is transformational. You are at a time of metamorphosis. You become aware of your shadow self and the lessons that lie within. The card reminds you that fear is an illusion, and you will need to purge negativity and tap into your inner awareness for answers. When this card is in the upright position, it resembles intuition, illusion, fear, and the subconscious. When the moon is in the reverse, it resembles frustration, confusion, unhappiness, and disbelief. She's looking into the starry sky, almost like she's wondering. Perhaps she's deep into her subconscious. She's busy with her thoughts. But being in the subconscious could potentially be a scary place, especially if you have some fear or some things you have not yet overcome. But I also see her as being close to the moon, being by the trees, and being intuitive. Perhaps she foresees what's going to happen. Perhaps she understands and accepts. When she's in the reverse, perhaps she's frustrated because she doesn't accept, she doesn't understand. The sun is the 19th card with astrological correspondence to the sun. As you can see, big old golden sun. The sun card shines down confidence, an awakening upon you. It is a time to embrace the joys in life and leave darkness and confusion behind. When the sun is in the upright position, it represents positivity, success, joy, and optimism. Look at her holding the sun. It's like she's trying to get these flowers down here the light they need. She's trying to show that success for those plants, that joy she feels for them. And she's very optimistic that the sun is shining bright enough for them to grow. When the sun is in the reversed order, it represents selfishness, egotistical sadness, and depression. So when it's reversed like this, I see it as the plants are reaching for that sun. Instead of her shining the sun on them, the plants are trying to get to the sun. That's at least how I see it. She wants to help them, but perhaps the sun is too far away. Judgment. Judgment is the 20th face card, and the astrological correspondence is with Pluto. Judgment shows when it is time for self-evaluation. We are at a crux for reaching a new life and must purge those things that would hinder you from being renewed. When it's in the upright position, it's associated with rebirth, absolution, renewal, and freedom. You can see how they're reaching for that spirit in the sky. You can see she's smiling, she's happy, she's flowing with the wind. Whereas these guys down here, they're trying to get to where she is. They want that rebirth. They want to become that enlightened state that she is in. They want renewal. When this card is in the reverse position, it's associated with self-doubt, rejection, blockage, and stagnation. You can tell that they're really grasping for what she has, but perhaps there's something keeping them at bay. There's something keeping them from getting to that state that she is in. That happiness, that absolution and renewal. The world. So the world is the 21st face card. Its astrological correspondence is with Saturn. The world is the final destination of your journey. So the story goes that the fool is trying to reach a certain state. He travels and he goes through many phases throughout his life where he bumps into each of these road bumps, or perhaps he's doing good. But his final destination is the world. With the world, you have a deeper understanding of your role in the universe, and all of your efforts have come full circle. When it's in the upright position, it's associated with completion, satisfaction, travel, and fulfillment. When the world is in the reversed position, it's associated with regret, incomplete, lack of closure, and doubt. Perhaps the fool is doubtful because he doesn't feel that he has reached the point of the world. Now, there are 2 extra cards that come with this deck that are not in the traditional standard deck. These cards include the Well, which this deck says that this card is associated with Gaia. The well is the birthplace of ideas, inspiration, and transformation. All things are birthed from this creatrix, and knowledge flows freely to those who seek it. When it's in the upright position, the well is associated with nurturing, opportunity, nature, and creativity. The other card that is new to this deck is the Artist. I enjoy how they have a lot of blank space around the art because it's like an authentic canvas. He's drawing over here, but I see this entire picture as a work of art, and it's on a blank canvas, and it's slowly filling in with all that detail. The art is enclosed in this deck as number 23. The artist is the vessel of creation. This card signifies mankind and shows you when you need to open to the knowledge that is available if you stop and set aside the distractions of the human condition and listen. When this card is in the upright position, it's associated with visionary, interpreter, creation, and passion. When this card is in its reverse position, it's associated with unstable, judgmental, restless, and greediness. So that's all the major arcana. Later on, I'll go through and show the minor arcana in the second video. And then in the third video, I'll talk about different tarot spreads and how to work with your deck. I hope you enjoyed this part 1 tutorial in tarot. Be looking for the other 2 videos later on. Thanks so much for joining me. May your future be bright and guided by the stars. Blessed be.